Hello, I am Edward,
And I'm Lita.
and we're interviewing candidates for mayor. While the presidential race distracts everyone's attention, San Francisco's fierce mayoral race has been largely overlooked. We're interviewing candidates to fix that. Today, we're interviewing Aaron Peskin, supervisor for District 3, a candidate known to be particularly left-wing. He is campaigning on using progressive ideals to solve San Francisco's problems. Hello there, Mr. Peskin. Just for the camera, we have permission to film audio and video, right?
Good morning, Edward. Yes, you have permission to film and record.
All right, thank you. We are here representing the George Washington Eagle Eye and the Ra-Sota Daily Dragon, and we're here to ask you some questions on what would your campaign policies be if you became mayor.
Let's do it.
For housing, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've promised to expand homeless shelter capacity by 2,000 beds and build 15,000 new affordable homes, right?
So the answer is actually what I like to make promises that I am confident I can deliver. And it was 5,000 new middle-income affordable homes for 15,000 people is my campaign pledge, and 2,000 shelter beds.
Got it.
Yes.
And how would you add that extra housing capacity to San Francisco, and where would it be built?
Sure. So let me start by explaining a little bit about the current housing situation in San Francisco, where we are told repeatedly that we are in the middle of a housing crisis. I differ in that analysis. I actually believe that we are in the middle of an affordability crisis, and that we have to build and provide housing for our middle-income workers like nurses and teachers. And to that end, my plan is for the city to provide lower interest financing to developers, provided that they build housing at 100% of area median income, which is affordable to nurses and teachers and working San Franciscans. And actually, I passed legislation recently that became effective 29 days ago using tax-exempt revenue bond financing, and it is already taking effect, and there are already developers who are using that money to build middle-income affordable housing all over San Francisco. There are over 70,000 fully approved units in our pipeline that are shovel-ready that aren't being built because interest rates in the American interest rate environment are too high to allow developers a profit, and this mechanism is unfreezing that pipeline.
Got it.
And then as to shelter beds, which you asked about, this is actually a very opportune time for the city to invest in shelter beds because, unfortunately, the economy of San Francisco has changed in the post-pandemic economy, and we know the numbers. There's a 37% office vacancy rate downtown. There are many commercial and light industrial spaces that are now vacant and available, and they are all over the city, including in my district where I was able to locate a homeless shelter as well as a transitional age youth navigation center.
All right, and on to education. Right now, the San Francisco Unified School District is having a bit of a difficult budget situation where their schools are getting closed and teachers are protesting because they don't feel they're being paid enough. What would your policy be with education?
So let me start by saying one of the tragedies of the San Francisco Unified School District is the fact that they invested $40 million into a payroll system that was dysfunctional from the get-go, that actually resulted in many teachers not being paid on time, being paid the wrong amounts, and it has driven teachers and para-professionals crazy, and rightfully so. My educational platform, acknowledging that the mayor of San Francisco does not control the San Francisco Unified School District, which has its own elected board that deals with admission policies and curriculum policies, is that I want to bring a collaborative environment where the city of San Francisco, which has incredible resources relative to technology. We replaced our payroll system in many departments, and we actually have that expertise, and I would like to offer that to the school district. We have a controller and fiscal analysts who can help the school district get their budget back on track. And the city has sources of money that we can help use to augment the San Francisco Unified School District if we create the kind of collaborative relationship and a relationship of responsibility and accountability that I would bring as mayor.
All right, thank you. And on to crime. According to law enforcement agencies right now, San Francisco's violent crime rate is 168% the national median. Do you have a plan for dealing with crime? And if so, what would it be?
So first of all, I think public safety is one of the most important things that a government can do for its people, whether it's a local government, state government, national government. And to me, public safety has been one of the most important things that I've worked on in my 24 years in and out of office. I've served for 17 of the last 24 years representing the northeast corner of the city, Chinatown, North Beach, all the way to Fisherman's Wharf, downtown, where I have worked with the captains and officers at Central Station, and they know my work, and that's why I'm proud that so many of those captains and officers have endorsed my campaign for mayor. We are dealing with a police staffing shortage, and I think we have to be much more creative as to how we're going to solve that. In the post-George Floyd world that we are living in, and this is not unique to San Francisco, there are many less young people who are interested in becoming police officers as a career. And I think that we need to start working with our young people and creating opportunities for people from this city to become law enforcement officers in this city, utilizing forgivable college loans that would be forgiven the longer somebody stayed in the San Francisco Police Department. And the way I came to that conclusion is when I first became a supervisor representing Chinatown, there were virtually no police officers that spoke Cantonese. And the community had long been asking for bilingual, culturally competent officers. And when I first got elected in the year 2000, I pushed the police department to hire, recruit, train, and retain bilingual officers. And today that's what we have. Sergeant Colbert Chu and William Ma and Talon Tang and Dexter Sang and Curran Gong and Lauren Chu, the list goes on. And what I learned from that experience is that every single one of those officers that I just named came from Washington, came from Galileo, came from Lowell, came from Lincoln, came from Balboa. They were all city kids, because where else do you get bilingual Cantonese-speaking officers? And that made me realize that rather than doing what the police department is doing now, which is trying to recruit officers from Texas and from the Midwest, we should actually create a schools to officers pathway where people can be trained in our police academy right here in Diamond Heights and have that career opportunity and be a part of their communities that they grew up in. And that's my plan to address our police staffing shortage. At the same time, I know it's not just about police. Public safety is a broad array of things. And I know that from my days as board president in 2007 and 2008, when we actually had a much higher homicide rate than we do now. And I led the Board of Supervisors in investing in jobs for at-risk youth and for violence prevention programs and for gun buyback programs. And the next year, our homicide rate dropped by almost half. Actually, a little bit more than half. It went from almost 100 to 47 because we were giving jobs to people who needed jobs and apprenticeship opportunities and access to incomes. So what we need is good management, a good staff recruiting plan, and a balanced approach that realizes that public safety is social workers and public safety is investment in communities. That's what I've done as a supervisor, and that's what I want to do as mayor.
All right, thanks. And one last question. I see your campaign's been working with the people promoting Prop L, and I talked, and your campaign supports Prop L as well. Why do you do so, and generally, what's your plan with transportation?
So transportation is free. And the fares that we pay, not youth, but the fares that I pay with this Clipper card right here, cost only reimburse Muni for a small percentage of the total cost it requires to operate the system. And Muni is remarkably important. It is the great equalizer. And I have always been looking and fighting for ways to make sure that Muni has the funds that it needs to provide world-class service. I led the Board of Supervisors, and we became the first city in the state of California to actually charge a tax on Uber and Lyft rides in order to fund Muni. I led the effort to have the voters approve a half-cent sales tax that goes to funding Muni and Muni improvements. And now I'm supporting Proposition L, which is a gross receipts tax on Uber and Lyft and similar companies in order to help pay to make Muni the service that it should be for the people of San Francisco.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, Edward. Thanks for the opportunity.
You too, Mr. Peskin.
You bet. And everybody should read this book.
Okay.
We do ride Muni.
It's a great
All
thing.
of us. So.
Thanks, you guys. Really appreciate it. Give my love to Sota and to Wash.